Hello everyone and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In the heart of Los Angeles, where the glitter of daytime television intersected with the raw pulse of real life, Jacqueline MacInnes Wood was at the center of a moment that would change her life. The revelation had seeped through the industry circuits like a gentle wave. "It's twin girls," she posted on social media, her voice filled with delight during an exclusive interview related to her role on The Bold and the Beautiful. The soap opera star, well known for her depiction of the fiery Steffi Forrester, was expecting twins, two tiny girls, a double blessing that promised to increase the love in her already thriving family. Fans erupted in cheers, headlines were filled with compliments, and the world appeared to pause to commemorate this milestone. But underneath the polished surface of that victorious announcement, a darker, more somber story unfolded, one of tremendous loss, hidden sadness, and the delicate threads of hope that Jacqueline and her husband, Elon Ruspoli, clung to in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Jacqueline's path to this declaration had not been a straight line of pure joy. It began in the calm intimacy of their Los Angeles home, which was filled with the joy of their two young sons, Rise and Lennox, as well as the echoes of a resilient life. At 42, Jacqueline was used to the glare of the spotlight and the demands of her job. Her character on The Bold and the Beautiful reflected her own tenacity. Steffi, a woman fighting personal demons, professional conflicts, and the relentless pull of familial loyalty. Off-screen, Jacqueline exemplified a similar resilience, juggling red carpet appearances, late-night filming schedules, and the gentle responsibilities of parenthood. When her and Elon found out they were expecting again, it felt like the universe's ideal conclusion to their narrative. Ultrasounds verified the miracle: twins. Two heartbeats, two futures emerging simultaneously. During a live segment, Jacqueline's eyes sparkled as she clutched her swelling abdomen, and the words "It's twin girls" flashed across screens and newspapers. Bold and the Beautiful fans, who are always devoted, flooded social media with heart emojis and prayers, imagining a family image enlarged by these precious additions. However, the fairy tale crumbled in the shadows. The public saw curated joy, radiant smiles and beautifully arranged images with Elon, his arm protectively over her. However, in the privacy of hospital rooms and hushed meetings with doctors, a distinct reality surfaced. The twin pregnancy, which was labeled as high risk from the start, resulted in difficulties that no amount of celebrity or fan support could prevent. Monochorionic diamniotic twins, according to medical language, shared a placenta, a situation that, while common, held hidden risks such as twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome (TTTS), in which blood flow abnormalities could endanger one or both fetuses. Jacqueline, ever the warrior, delved into research, speaking with experts at leading perinatal facilities. She made precise adjustments to her life, including reduced work hours on set, pregnant yoga with meditation, and a diet designed to support two lives. Elon, a producer with a calm temperament, became her support, driving her to appointments and holding her hand throughout the nerve-wracking waits for each scan. The first hints of trouble emerged subtly, like fractures in beautiful porcelain. At 20 weeks, an ultrasound indicated unequal growth. One twin, whom they fondly referred to as Lily, was prospering, with robust measurements and lively kicks. The other, known as Rose, trailed following, her little frame displaying indications of discomfort. Doctors kept a careful eye on the situation, intervening with laser surgery to cut faulty vascular connections in the placenta, a method that saved countless twin pregnancies but came with the danger of preterm labor or infection. Jacqueline lay on the operating table, numb from the spinal block, her mind racing with Bold and the Beautiful style drama. Would her girls survive? The surgery was technically successful, but the aftermath was a roller coaster. Bedrest ensued, transforming their home into a fortress of caution. The boys, Rise 4 and Lennox 2, adapted with wide-eyed curiosity, drawing images of baby sisters, as their parents concealed their rising anxiety. As the weeks turned into a tense vigil, the distinct anguish intensified. Jacqueline's nights were plagued by vivid hallucinations of Steffi's on-screen losses seeping into her life, in which she imagined cradling one kid but not the other. Elon, inspired by his Italian heritage's emphasis on family relationships, created little rituals such as burning candles for the twins and reading children's books, aloud to Jacqueline's belly. The Bold and the Beautiful ensemble rallied, sending care packages and virtual pep talks, and their soap opera family expanded into her real one. However, the loss was personal, a single ache. Publicly, Jacqueline maintained the narrative of triumph, posting updates that hinted at challenges but focused on positivity. Our twin girls are fighters just like their mama. Privately, she journaled her fears, pages filled with raw confessions about the unfairness of nature's lottery. Why did some pregnancies go smoothly while hers teetered on the brink? The turning point occurred at 28 weeks, a gestational phase fraught with danger for preemies. Rose's heart was straining as a result of the transfusion. Emergency treatments were explored, including steroids to mature the twins' lungs and magnesium sulfate to prevent seizures during birth. Jacqueline, thrown into the turmoil of delivery, pushed through contractions that seemed like the culmination of her entire career's emotional arcs. The lights flashed as Lily came first, a feisty 2-pound warrior with a lusty cry that belied her small NICU team swaddled her right away, and her APGAR scores were a beacon of hope. Rose arrived silent, her tiny chest still, blue-tinged and motionless. Resuscitation efforts went on indefinitely, with chest compressions, ventilators and monitor beeps piercing the air like accusations. Minutes went into hours, but Rose's resistance ended with a gentle surrender of her delicate body. One twin survived. The other passed away, creating a vacuum that no announcement could fill. The world, unaware, continued rejoicing its twin girls, as if both had arrived. Jacqueline and Elon faced a harsh asymmetry. Lily was in the NICU surrounded by tubes and wires, while Rose's memory lingered in a little urn on their mantel. Grief counseling sessions revealed the survivor's guilt. Why Lily? Why not both? Jacqueline returned to the Bold and the Beautiful scripts with a hollowed look, imbuing Steffi's sequences with a sincerity born of bereavement. Fans commented on her maternity leave glow, unaware that she had shed tears in the dressing room. Elon, ever the stoic, transformed his grief into advocacy, discreetly supporting TTTS foundations while his producer's attention was drawn to twin loss documentary films. Months went by, and Lily's journey became the family's anchor. She was born preterm and faced infections and developmental challenges, making her incubator days a monument to medical marvels. Jacqueline pumped milk around the clock, visiting the NICU with Elon, their son staring through glass at their brave sister. Homecomings were delayed, and Lily's progress was checked with hawk-like vigilance. However, the distinct grief of selective loss penetrated each milestone. Rise and Lennox's birthdays now involve a modest toast to Rose, followed by the release of a balloon into the sky. Jacqueline's interviews grew, gradually incorporating messages of awareness, the hidden risks of twin pregnancies, the mental maze of losing one kid while raising the other. Bold and the Beautiful even crafted a plotline echoing her suffering, with Steffi dealing with infertility and loss, which received accolades for its empathy. In the silent aftermath, Jacqueline sought peace in unexpected places. Writing became her outlet, and she is currently working on a memoir about the contrast between joy and sadness. Friendships grew with other bereaved parents, and their shared stories provided a salve against solitude. Elon proposed a family trip to Italy, hoping to heal generational wounds. Lily, toddling with the determination of her survivor spirit, provided joy that cut through the cloud of loss. The boys adored her, and their playdates were a riot of sibling pandemonium, honoring Rose's absence by bringing the house to life. However, the anguish stayed carved in their hearts like a permanent tattoo. Public opinions of the twin girls' revelation left lengthy shadows, and well-wishers' assumptions burned like salt in wounds. Jacqueline learned to negotiate this with grace, saying, "We celebrate Lily every day, and hold Rose in our hearts forever." Her position on the Bold and the Beautiful shifted as well, with Steffi's arc adding themes of recovery after loss, matching Jacqueline's own. Advocacy blossomed. She collaborated with organizations such as the Twin-to-Twin Transfusion Syndrome Foundation, sharing her story to fund research and support families. As the years passed, the family's narrative changed toward integration. Lily's first day of preschool, with her comically large satchel, brought tears of pride mixed with Rose's echo. Holidays included customs, such as twin-themed decor with one chair symbolically empty but full of stories. Jacqueline's career skyrocketed, with Emmy nominations recognizing her multifaceted performances laced with real truth. Elon directed a short film about twin bonds and dedicated it to Rose. The story's distinctive anguish sprang from its incompleteness, the phantom limb of a half-formed family. It taught them the different types of love, ferocious for the living and eternal for the lost. Jacqueline's big news, once a source of delight, transformed into a multifaceted gem, refracting light through prisms of pain and appreciation. In the intense limelight of Los Angeles they forged ahead, the twin girls' legacy a whisper of what was, is and will be. The ultrasound room was quiet, except for the machine's faint hum and the monitor's repetitive pulse. Clara lay on the table, her hands clasped over her tummy, her eyes wide with expectation that hovered somewhere between ecstasy and terror. The doctor's expression was calm and practiced. Then he smiled and turned the screen slightly towards her. "Have you seen that?" he added, pointing to the small forms that moved like whispers on the screen. "There are 2 heartbeats." Clara's breath caught. For a brief moment the world appeared to stop, the hubbub of the hospital dissolving into nothing but that sound too steady, amazing thumps reverberating in tandem. "2?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Twins?" "Yes," the doctor replied softly. "Twin girls." Her tears flowed before she could stop them. She dreamed of being a mother for so long, through years of waiting, loss, and murmured prayers into her pillow when no one could hear. She was no longer just going to be a mother. She was planning to have 2 daughters. There are 2 lives growing inside her. She already loved 2 beings more deeply than she could express. When she told her husband, Daniel, that evening, his eyes brightened in the faint kitchen light. He pulled her up into his arms, laughing and whirling her as if they were children again. "2 little girls," he remarked, kissing her forehead. "2 of you." For months their home became a source of light. Clara decorated the nursery with soothing colors, pale pinks and creams, and exquisite lace curtains that flutter in the midday air. Daniel painted the walls himself, carefully tracing small stars along the ceiling so their daughters might sleep under the sky. They chose the names Lily and Rose because Clara liked flowers and Daniel thought they sounded like sunlight. Every night, Clara would sit in the rocking chair, hands on her stomach, and tell them stories. She described the world they would soon see, the golden light of morning, the fragrance of rain, and the way the sea looked after the sun had gone down. She told them about kindness, bravery, and how much they were already loved. But as the months went, a shadow began to creep softly beneath her happiness. Her pregnancy got more problematic than anticipated. The doctor's visits became more frequent, and their smiles more wary. Words like high risk and monitoring began to appear in speech. Clara attempted to ignore the tightness in her chest that emerged whenever the doctor scowled slightly at a measurement or took too long to talk. "You need to rest," he murmured once after a lengthy pause. "More than anything, you need to rest." She nodded, recognizing that slumber was impossible when your heart refused to quit worrying. Clara awoke one night in the middle of a storm to an ache as sharp as a sword. It was way too soon. She cried out to Daniel, who drove her to the hospital, his hands quivering on the steering wheel as rain pelted the windshield. She could scarcely breathe in between contractions, terror gnawing at her throat. When they arrived, everything blurred together. The sharp brightness of hospital lights, the echo of hurried footsteps, and the sound of words she couldn't comprehend. They tried everything but time, the merciless and silent thief, wouldn't wait. Clara cradled Lily in her arms for several hours. She was tiny with pale, frail skin and whisper-soft respiration. "She's strong," a nurse stated with a forced smile. "She's fighting." But Rose, little Rose, remained silent. Clara couldn't remember much after that. She only remembered the awful silence that permeated the room, the type that seeps into your bones and remains there. She held both of them, one enveloped in warmth and the other slowly fading away. She whispered their names over and over as tears streamed over their small faces. "Lily and Rose," she announced. "My beautiful girls." Days faded into nights. The nursery, once overflowing with joy and promise, now sat empty. The painted stars on the ceiling became darker. Daniel tried to be strong for her and Lily, but she could see the sadness in his eyes. They both spoke less. Sometimes they just sat in silence, their hands touching and their hearts heavy with the weight of everything they'd lost. Lily spent several weeks in the neonatal intensive care unit. Clara came every day and sat near the incubator, murmuring lullabies through the glass. The devices beeped quietly, their rhythm a poignant reminder of life. She pushed her palm to the side and whispered, "You are my miracle, little one. For both of us." When Lily recovered enough to return home, it was both a godsend and a hurt. Clara dressed her in soft cotton, placed her in the crib next to the empty one, and whispered into the space between them. "Rose is also here," she said. "She always will be." However, healing was not easy. It never is. Grief became a ghost in the house, haunting corners and lingering during peaceful moments. Clara would wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of Lily's cries, her heart beating, occasionally hearing another faint cry that wasn't there. After a few months, Daniel returned to work, but Clara struggled to reconnect with the outside world. Every day she attempted to make Lily smile by singing, reading, and laughing, but occasionally she looked into her daughter's face and saw both of them intermingled. She loved Lily with all her heart, but the longing for Rose was always there, like a shadow just out of grasp. One evening, she sat in the rocking chair with Lily asleep in her arms. Outside, the sky burnt gold in the dying light of day. Clara started humming the same song she used to sing to her belly when she thought both daughters were listening. As she rocked, she said softly, "Do you hear it, Rose? Your sister is dreaming." A gentle breeze brushed the curtains. For a brief moment, she felt something, warmth, calm, and smiled through her tears, unable to articulate it. Years have passed. Lily grew bright and curious, and her laughing filled the house again. Clara had her father's eyes and her mother's smile, but when the light hit just right, she swears she saw another face hiding behind hers, a gentler, calmer one, like an echo of what might have been. On Lily's 5th birthday, Clara took her to the garden Daniel had created behind their house. It was packed with flowers, lilies, and roses side by side. "How come there are always two?" Lily inquired, touching a petal with her small fingers. "Because," Clara explained, crouching alongside her, "some flowers grow best together." Lily nodded, accepting the answer with childlike simplicity. She dashed around the yard, her laughter echoing in the air, sunlight gathering in her hair. Clara watched her, and for the first time in a long time, the pain in her chest subsided. But that night, as she snuggled Lily into bed, her daughter quietly inquired, "Mommy, do I have a sister?" The question caught Clara off guard. She froze, looking into her daughter's eyes. "Why are you asking that?" Lily shrugged. "I see her occasionally. In my dreams. She looks like me, yet she is not me. She says she misses you." Clara's eyes filled with tears before she could stop them. She ran her hand through Lily's hair and whispered, "Maybe you do, sweetheart. Maybe you always will." Clara walked to the garden after Lily had fallen asleep that night. The air was chilly, and the moonlight was gentle. She sat between the flowers, whispering into the solitude, "She's lovely, Rose. You'd be proud of her." The wind blew, and for a moment, it felt like someone was sitting next to her. Clara and Daniel learnt to live with the duality of their hearts over time, with joy and grief intertwined. Lily got older, her laughing became louder, and her presence served as a daily reminder of love and sorrow. Every birthday they lit 2 candles on the cake. Lily didn't question it again. Clara found herself alone in the nursery one winter morning, despite the fact that it no longer existed. It had transformed into a peaceful haven brimming with books and memories. The painted stars on the ceiling still shimmered softly and faded with time. She sat in the ancient rocking rocker and ran her fingers over the armrest, where the paint had worn off. She closed her eyes, and in the silence she felt it again. 2 heartbeats, faint but real, reverberating in her memory. She recognized that grief does not dissipate. Rather, it alters. It becomes part of the air you breathe, part of the love that endures. When Lily turned 16, she returned home with a little white rosebush after a school trip. "It reminded me of you," she said, smiling. They planted it alongside the flowers, the ground soft beneath their hands. Lily paused while they worked. "Sometimes I think she's watching us," she murmured softly. Clara grinned, her eyes gleaming. "She is." Clara remained in the garden that night after Lily had gone inside. The stars above were brighter, and the air felt chilly on her skin. She whispered one more time, "Thank you for choosing me, both of you." And as the wind blew through the garden, Brushing the petals of the lilies and roses, she felt peace. Not the kind that erases pain, but the kind that holds it gently, like the memory of two heartbeats still beating somewhere in the universe, forever in sync. Years later, as Clara became older and the world slowed, Lily frequently discovered her mother sitting in the same garden, eyes closed and a tiny grin on her lips. She would sometimes mutter things into the air, as if she were conversing with someone she couldn't see. Lily never interrupted. She knew. When Clara died, Lily buried her near the garden, beneath the sky that her father had painted on the nursery ceiling. Every spring the lilies and roses flowered together, their roots inextricably linked. On the anniversary of her mother's death, Lily sat by the flowers, tracing their stems and whispering, "I miss you both." A light wind rustled the petals, and for a heartbeat, just one, she imagined she heard two quiet voices singing the same lullaby her mother had once hummed. The world has gone on as it always does. Seasons changed, flowers bloomed and withered, and life went on in its calm pace. But there, between dreams and memories, two sisters held hands beneath a painted sky, their laughter ringing across forever.